What's up, gamers? Welcome to a Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 trailer analysis video. Of course, if you've seen our E3 Direct reaction, you know I was a little bit taken aback by this announcement.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild 2?
Is Skyward Sword?
Breath of the Wild 2?
New Zelda game?
Breath of the Wild 2.
It's not Breath of the Wild.
It's Breath of the Wild 2.
I think it's Twilight Princess.
It's Breath of the Wild 2!
It's Breath of the Wild.
That's incredible. Okay, Breath is coming.
Hey, you didn't barf though. Alright, Nintendo gets 10 out of
Alright, well that was the best thing I've seen this direct.
10. 11 out of 10.
But watching the trailer again like 100 billion times and watching it backwards and forwards and every which way, I've noticed a lot of stuff that I haven't seen a lot of people cover in their discussion videos of this trailer. So I'm going to go pretty much frame by frame, or at least shot by shot, and explain everything that I can see in this video as a Zelda lore expert. So let's start the video. Switch logo, wow. So right off the bat, we have these little squigglies. They kind of remind me of... the particle effect when Link teleports in Breath of the Wild, but green. And supposedly they're forming the characters in one of the highly unwritten languages. I don't remember which one it is, but somebody decoded it on Twitter, and I'll throw up what it says right here. I think that probably tells us more about what this stuff is, because even throughout the trailer we still don't have a clear idea of what this weird green glowy hand boy is. And then creepy backwards music starts. Right here is really interesting. We get a clear shot of a wall painting in the same style as what we see from the cutscenes talking about 10,000 years ago in Breath of the Wild. But it shows a weird-nosed figure on a horse with a trident, and here, right in the center, we can see the Gerudo symbol on his chest or back. I'm not really sure what that is, and he's holding a trident. So I think it's pretty safe to say that what they're viewing here is a depiction of Ganondorf. We've never seen Ganondorf use a trident before in a mainline game, but he did use it in Hyrule Warriors. And you'll see throughout this trailer that it really looks like they're basing this design of Ganondorf off of the Hyrule Warriors version anyway, so that seems to be what they're going for here. Then we get another shot of the glowy stuff and Malice coming out of something there. In that shot, you can't really see the body, but you can just see Malice exiting out of it. Then we get a shot of Link and Zelda, and here's where I lost my mind, because it's, you know, confirmed that it's Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, I knew it was Breath of the Wild 2 from the moment I saw the torch. But we see Link and Zelda walking down in these ancient ruins. A little mouse boy over here. He's nice and cute. And luminous stone deposits. Now, the luminous stone, I didn't think of anything of it at first, but somebody in a Discord I'm in pointed out the fact that luminous stone in Breath of the Wild is associated with housing the souls of the dead. And interestingly enough, the clothing that you use to make with the luminous stone in Breath of the Wild is a skeletal figure. So it could be that this cave that they're in is like some place where the souls of the dead are trapped or something. You get a shot of Link and Zelda looking at this dead body, and you don't get a clear look at the body, but what you can see here for the first time is the hand grasping this body at the chest. And interestingly enough, the body is not laying on anything. It is standing up, being held there by the hand. Oh, and another thing to note about this shot is, hey, Zelda has a haircut. It's real cute. Whether or not the short hair is important at all, we'll have to see. It could be that she has short hair because, you know, she's been learning to fight and she needs to keep it short so she doesn't accidentally chop her hair off. The only other time we've seen Zelda with short hair is actually the Ocarina of Time version of Sheik, so we could see the return of Sheik, but I also like this little cloak she's got going on. I like it even more than Link's. Link also has a little bit of extra stuff going on with his outfit, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Here you see that animal they were riding earlier. When I first saw this thing, I initially was like, oh, that's an elephant. But looking at it now, I don't see a trunk, and it has antlers instead of tusk. So this is probably some new fantasy beast that they've created specifically for the Zelda universe. And also this kind of proves that every clip we see in this trailer is not in any particular order, because it wouldn't make any sense for them to be looking at the body and then go back to take a drink of water. But seeing how loaded up the pack mule is here, it kind of gives the sense that this was a long journey for them, and that, you know, people looked at the trailer and they thought, oh, this must be under Hyrule Castle. I don't think that's the case at all. I think this is a pretty far ways away for them to be packed up this heavily. And there's also another piece of the trailer that goes to show that it's not underneath Hyrule Castle, in my opinion. And then we see our poor mouse boy get murdered by some malice. So this is pretty clearly the same malice as we see in Breath of the Wild. Even right there, it kind of looks like the pig Ganon form, but I think that's just a coincidence. And then you see them trying to cross this little gap in a bridge with their pack mule. This does look like a very Sheikah-ish bridge in terms of architecture. It's pretty likely that this whole area is an ancient Sheikah thing, but I would imagine that they talk in Breath of the Wild a little bit about how the Sheikah we see in Breath of the Wild went away from their magic in pursuit of technology, but there was a split, and some of them stayed and pursued magic. Now, if you know your Zelda lore, it's commonly believed that those Sheikah who stayed and pursued magic ended up being banned to Termina / the Twilight Realm, and they are the Twilight. But this could be remnants of their stuff, because this whole trailer does give me a very big Twilight Princess / Majora's Mask vibe. In fact, Aonuma said in an interview with, I think it was IGN was the interview, he said that this game is going to be even more dark than Majora's Mask. So they're definitely drawing inspiration from Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, I can tell. Whether or not they're directly related, we'll have to wait and see. And this shot is interesting because Link's looking sassier there, but Zelda has like a mild shock reaction here. I think this shot is of them viewing the wall carvings that had the depiction of Ganondorf, and you know, there's probably going to be more depictions there of telling of his great horrors or whatnot. I'll back to that shot. It also shows Link's new outfit, which is the same. There's nothing new in his outfit, it's just that it added elements of the Hylian tunic. It has the breastplate from the Hylian tunic and the chainmail and sleeves from the Hylian tunic. Here we get our first shot of the dead body very clearly. There's lots of malice protruding out of it and none going in. And then you see the hand grasping him at the top. And now we get our shot of Ganondorf's long red hair, and here's where I think most people realized it was Ganondorf, but the reason I realized it was Ganondorf immediately is because, again, there's the Gerudo symbol right here on his jewelry. And again, right here on his, I don't know if that's his cape or like his skirt, his battle skirt or whatever. Just a cloth right here. I think this shot in particular was supposed to be like, hey, this is Ganon, idiots. Because, I mean, it's the Gerudo symbol, and that's pretty obvious. And then this shot is interesting, seeing the hand not just picking him up by the chest, but it's stabbing into his chest. And then you can see the malice flowing out from inside of the hand. This trailer really confuses me in terms of whether or not this hand is a good guy or a bad guy, because I can't tell if it's trying to like trap him here or if it's releasing the malice itself by, you know, stabbing into his chest. Also, the little bracelet it's wearing really reminds me of Twilight stuff. It could just be, most Zelda stuff kind of looks similar in a way. And it's not so much that this hand looks like something from one specific Zelda game, and just that it looks very Zelda-y in general. Nobody's been able to like directly identify what it was. I would even say the color pattern reminds me more of Skyward Sword than anything else. And then we get a weird shot of the whole dead body with, we can see this weird crystal on its head, and even more. Just the decaying corpse in general is really terrifying. Like, I would almost go as far as to say this design right here is of zombie Ganondorf is even scarier than Dead Hand. Maybe not, but it's pretty close. Then we get this weird shot of the hand coming out of or going into Link. I can't really tell exactly what's happening here. The hand, it looks like it's going into Link rather than coming out of him. Perhaps this could be like a new gameplay mechanic where this spirit is like possessing you, and this is your companion and your new power. I'd also like to point out it takes away all of the clothing on his arm where it grasps onto him. Kind of reminds the whole idea of having a weird hand power. First off, it brings up memories of Midna, but also it kind of reminds me of Golden Sun. It might be like a mechanic where you have a spiritual hand you can use to push stuff, so who knows. It looks like it's hurting him because he's like recoiling back from it. So it could be it attacking him when he tried to reach forward or something. I don't really. I don't think at any other point in this trailer he has the glove missing from that hand. So I think this is one of the last things to happen in the events of this scene. And then we see the malice shoot up into the ceiling here, which is interesting, because this whole little area up here reminds me a lot of the part of Hyrule Castle where Ganon's weird, survival sack is hanging from. But also at the same time, it looks a little bit more like the Shrine of Resurrection, which again makes me think that this is a Sheikah-related thing, and the fact that it's Ganondorf being revived kind of makes sense with that. So I think what we're seeing here is the moment of his resurrection, where you have the malice shooting up into the ceiling. And here we have a weird shot of Zelda reaching her hand up into Link's. And I'd also like to point out that this is the hand that got the glove removed from it earlier in the trailer, so that means that it's chronologically before it. So Zelda is reaching up to grab Link. We don't see them grasp on, but we also don't see Link drop Zelda here. And then it just moves straight from that shot to a shot of this weird temple. I think this temple is where this is happening, not underneath Hyrule Castle or anything. I couldn't tell you where it is. It looks like the Gerudo Highlands to me, and that would make sense, just with the whole idea of Ganondorf. I can't. People are trying to decipher what this weird animal creature in the archway is. I really cannot tell what it is at all. The interesting thing to me is this little gold bit right here, but I really don't know what that is. And then you go inside and you get this shot of the hand grabbing Link's other arm. I think this is part of the same shot where he was dropping down to grab Zelda. This hand is dropping down to grab him. And I think they're falling down towards something. I'm not sure what that something is. Here again, we get to see the moment of the resurrection where the hand lets go of Ganon. And there you can see even more clearly how the hand was stabbing into him, because it has, really long claws, and we couldn't see those when it was grabbing his chest. But when you are just seeing the silhouette of this corpse, it looks a whole lot more like Ganondorf than it does when you're just looking at the corpse, because the corpse is decayed and stuff, but the outline of his shadow is still very clearly Ganondorf. And then it goes on to this clip of the floor falling out and Zelda dropping, which I think is again where we see them grasping hands and stuff. I don't know where she would be falling to. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if this is how Link and Zelda gets separated and, oh, you gotta save Zelda, or it could be, oh, you have to save Link. Who knows? And then, because you get another shot of Zelda looking at Ganon, and then his hand starts twitching here. I don't know if you can see that in that clip. Yeah, you can see it for a second in that clip where his hand starts to move. And then you get another shot of her turning around, looking shocked. And I think what's on the other side of this, what she's looking at, is Ganondorf standing up, perfectly arisen, but still like zombified and terrifying. And here we see his reanimation, where his eyes come glowing to life, and it's the same as the eyes that you have to shoot in Breath of the Wild to get rid of Malice. I mean, you can also see the Gerudo symbol on his jewelry here, but more interesting than the eyes to me is this little crystal up here. Again, it's very reminiscent of the Hyrule Warriors design of Ganondorf, where he has this weird crown with a crystal in his head. But this looks more like a magical crystal. The spot on his forehead is interesting as well, because in the Dark Beast Ganon fight, the final boss of Breath of the Wild, his forehead like opens up and there's a giant glowing eye that you have to shoot that is like the essence of his being. So I think that's what this is right here. It is the essence of his being. That's what's being revived. Maybe his soul, or Demise's soul. The eyes also kind of remind me of the Majora's Mask Moon, but I think that's just art style coincidence. And then you get this shot of the castle rising out of the ground, which it's just kind of weird. This is what makes a lot of people think this is happening underneath Hyrule Castle, but I really don't. I think this is maybe a consequence of what's happening elsewhere. But the fact that this shot is coming from the Great Plateau could mean that this temple they're in is actually on the Great Plateau, perhaps underneath the Shrine of Resurrection. But it could just be that's where they chose to do the shot from, because that's where you get the clearest view of the castle. And then you get more of the glowy bits. I think these are probably spelling out words too, but I can't read Hylian. And then you get the sequel, Breath of the Wild is now in development. So that's all you can clearly see in the original trailer. But then it gets a little bit scarier when you play the trailer backwards. Because when you listen to the music in the trailer, it feels very clearly like it's backwards, and there's instances where you can hear things that you're like, wait, that sounds a little bit like a natural voice, but I can't pick out what it's saying. And so when you play it backwards, that's when you can hear what they're saying. I'll just let you listen to it first, and then we can discuss it. And that's the noise backwards. What you can hear is the weird, creepy choir in the original version starts to turn into a more clear melody. And people are theorizing that this melody might be the main theme of the game. Which I think it really could be. It could just be a theme from the game. But the idea of it being the main theme is actually something Nintendo has done before in a reveal, is they like make this really creepy, hard to hear version of the main theme. They did that with Smash Ultimate in the original reveal with the weird, creepy, everybody standing there in the shadows with the fire Smash Ball in the background. The music in the background ended up being Lifelike. So I think that could be the same thing here. People are saying they can discern the lyrics of that song. I can't. I'll leave a link to a video where somebody talks about what he thinks those lyrics are. I don't necessarily hear the same thing he does. He says he hears "Oh Hyrule," whereas I think I pretty clearly hear "Oh Zelda." But either way, with the lyrics he discerned, it works. But the more important thing that I can very clearly hear is starting at this shot here of Link and Zelda standing here. You can hear in the background a reversed voice whispering, "Help us, please." And this voice repeats for the rest of the trailer. To me, it sounds a lot like Zelda's voice. It could, however, just be, the spirits of the dead, considering, the luminous stone and that theory that I proposed earlier. But it really does sound like Zelda's voice to me, and I think that's her asking either us, the player, to help them please, because, it's a hidden message, in the trailer itself, or it could be her asking a deity, like Hylia, which would be ironic, or Furore, or any of the other three goddesses for help. And I think there's also a point where it sounds a little bit offbeat for it to be "Help us, please," and when you speed it up to about 150% speed, or maybe a little bit slower, it sounds more like something's coming. And it sounds even more like Zelda's voice there. But it seems weird to me that they would have two different phrases to where not only do you have to reverse it to hear the first one, but you have to speed it up to hear the second one. So I think the "something's coming" is more of just a coincidence, where the audio is getting interfered with. But just the whole idea of having hidden messages in a backwards trailer it's already a creepy enough trailer, but having hidden messages when you play it reversed, where you can hear the proper music and where you can hear voices whispering in the darkness, that's just terrifying. And I think it really cements the idea that this is really going to be the darkest and creepiest Zelda game of all. So what I'm going to leave you with is a mock-up of this game's supposed main theme, using the lyrics that this YouTube user has said he's figured out. I hope it doesn't turn out to be this creepy of a main theme, because I'm a little bit partial to Breath of the Wild's bombastic main theme, but if it really does turn out this way, we're in for a treat.